Hi, my name is Heather Floyd, and today I will be discussing the issues of recycling used lead acid batteries or automotive batteries and the possible solutions to the problems that they cause. Here's the table of contents. Today we will be discussing the background of used lead acid batteries, an introduction of the professionals with whom I worked with, and their possible solutions that they have recommended. I will have a final approach and lessons learned throughout the project. And finally, I will end with a conclusion. What are lead acid batteries? Lead acid batteries are used within the automotive industry and are not considered to be dangerous while they're being used. It's the used lead acid batteries that can become a problem for individuals' health and the environment. Why are the used lead acid batteries harmful? Well, after they are used, they can be approximately 99% recycled, which is amazing. However, there are people who recycle these batteries informally, creating the issue. When recycled informally, there is emission from the lead when it is melted down during informal recycling that creates problems for the environment and the individuals around, causing air pollution as well as lead poisoning. Approximately 86% of the global lead poisoning is a result from the informal recycling of these lead acid batteries. On the next slide, I will be discussing with 3 different professionals and 3 different careers, how can we put a stop to these poisonings. The 3 professionals that I worked on this project with are Valerie Mason, who is an employee at the Right Place, which is a nonprofit organization in Anniston, Alabama, that shelters homeless people in that community. The second professional that I worked with is Dr. Sarah J. Wooford, who is an ecology professor at Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama. And the last professional that I worked with is Donna Smith, who has a master's in education, who is a high school teacher in Ashland, Alabama, who teaches history. Valerie Mason provided 4 different solutions on how to decrease the impact of the lead acid batteries. To start with, she suggested helping lower income families find other resources of income instead of having to recycle the used lead acid batteries. Providing safety gear for the informal recyclers to decrease the impact of the lead, which also would decrease the impact of the lead poisoning within the communities. She also suggested setting up lead poison testing sites in the areas that are common for the informal recycling. Finally, she suggested that fundraisers for the families that would be impacted financially from not recycling anymore be set up in order to help them provide income for their families. Dr. Wooford also provided 4 different ways to reduce the impact of recycling the used lead acid batteries. Her first solution was creating safe ways to dispose of the batteries by setting up recycling banks so that informal recyclers weren't able to get to them. Providing alternative ways for the battery to be manufactured so that if they were to be recycled after use by informal recyclers, it would reduce the effects on the ecosystem and environment. Also suggested was to put together coalitions that collect the lead acid batteries from dumps and landmines for formal recycling before smelters get to them. And finally, she suggested advocating for more strict government restrictions on informal recycling. Donna Smith's approach was more about the people and an educational standpoint. Her first approach would have been to provide educational resources in the areas where informal recycling is prominent, in the schools and within the communities. Her second approach is to provide community demonstrations on how to prevent individuals from getting lead poisoning, by possibly showing how to use protective gear or how to safely recycle the batteries. Lastly, she suggested creating outreach programs for the families that do rely heavily on the income from the recycling of the used lead acid batteries. Each of the 3 professionals provided very good solutions, and each were very different. I believe that the best solutions provided were the primary intervention solutions, such as education and providing other sources of income. For the individuals already involved in informal recycling, The best solutions could be providing lead poison testing and proper safety gear if they're going to continue to informally recycle. Regarding the environment, I believe that creating coalitions to collect the batteries and the change of the manufacturing for the batteries are great components that would provide a safer environment. As I said before, each of these professionals provided solutions based on their backgrounds, creating a variety of different solutions. The main lesson that was learned during this project was that each profession has a different way of fixing problems. Every profession takes a different approach, creating many different solutions that one person would not have been able to create. This is the purpose of interprofessional relationships in order to have a variety of solutions to a single issue. In conclusion, each solution provided would be extremely helpful to reduce the impact of recycling used lead-acid batteries. If the used lead-acid batteries are recycled correctly, then the lead poison rates from the batteries will hopefully decrease as well. We can hope to use these three professionals' opinions in decreasing the impact that the environment has taken and the individuals in low-income countries have taken from recycling these batteries. Here are the references from the presentation.